Alright, let's get it going. Time for another video from the okayest MTG. And I am super excited about this one today. I think for today's video, we're going to call this one a Fungus Among Us. I am so sorry. That was really stupid. We're not going to call it that. We're going to call this one a bunch of fun guys, because today I am talking about one of my favorite commanders, and it is from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, the Mycotyrant. So for one black and green, you get a legendary creature, Elder Fungus with Trample, who is a star whose power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control that are fungi and or saprolings. And at the beginning of your end step, you create X11 black fungus creature tokens that have this creature can't block, where X is the number of times you descended this turn. And descend is a mechanic from LCI that says you descend each time a permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere. So it's a big self-mill plan, a big graveyard focused deck, very Golgari, very fun. And I'm sure a lot of people are probably asking, hey, Chief, do you think that the Mycotyrant is a more powerful graveyard commander than Taval the Balanced Scale? And my answer to that is no, it's probably not. It's probably not more powerful, but it is incredibly fun and powerful in its own right. And we have a lot to talk about today because there is so many cool cards in this deck that I built. So we're going to get right into it. The deck has a lot of stuff going on. You want to make a bunch of token bodies, a bunch of little guys. You want to do a lot of self-mill, some recursion, and you can just make bodies just to swing with and attack. It's super fun. So let's actually start with the self-mill package. We want to get that graveyard filled, so we're going to do Crawling Sensation for 2 and a green. It's an enchantment, says at the beginning of your upkeep you may mill 2 cards. And whenever one or more land cards are put in your graveyard from anywhere for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. This is great. It's a great engine. Each of your upkeeps you get to mill 2 cards, fill that graveyard, and a nice bonus if it's a land that goes in the graveyard, make a 1/1 insect. So you're getting bodies on the board and already starting to fill out your game plan. Golgari Grave Troll is a classic. He has Dredge 6, which means if you would draw a card, you may mill 6 cards instead and return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Boy, that's a lot. Filling the graveyard up with 6 cards, a lot of chances to descend, get those triggers, and just fill that graveyard, which is basically your fuel for your game plan. And if you do decide to cast him, he enters with a 1/1 counter on it for each creature card in your graveyard. He has some regenerate ability that we don't care about, but man, what a great engine for self-mill. Golgari Thug is similar, has Dredge 4. When he dies, put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library, and he's only 1 in a black. So this guy, I think, has a little more actual value if you cast him, because if he dies, you get that recursion, and a little easier to get on the battlefield. He's doing a little bit more work, not quite as much dredge, but he's phenomenal. Engrave Researcher from Secrets of Strixhaven is a phenomenal prepared creature for 2 and a black. He is a 3/3 Troll Warlock who says at the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 1. Then if 3 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, he becomes prepared, and he has Reanimate. So this guy's great to let you surveil, see what you want in your graveyard, fill it up, and then bring things back out. Icetill Explorer is such a powerhouse because he lets you play an additional land on each of your turns, play lands from your graveyard, and whenever a land you control enters, mill a card. So he is doing basically the work of 3 separate cards in one. Just awesome. Life from the Loam has Dredge 3. It's a sorcery. You return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. This is just another great way to keep filling that graveyard, getting lands out of the graveyard, and it is just great. Love it. Nyx Weaver, for 1 black and green, you get an enchantment creature, Spider with Reach. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, you mill 2 cards. It is not a choice, and we are okay with that because we want to keep filling up that graveyard. And for 1 black and green, you can exile this creature and return target card from your graveyard to your hand. It does a lot of work on its own because it's a great engine, and then when you don't need it anymore, you can get any card you want from the graveyard. Old Rutstein, 1 black and green. When he enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, you mill a card. And if a land card is milled this way, make a treasure token. If a creature is milled this way, create an insect. If a non-creature, non-land card is milled this way, make a blood token. So he's just making a lot of material. He's helping you fill your graveyard. Gotta love it. Ripples of Undeath is an absolute linchpin in the deck. 1 and a black enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards. Then you may pay 1 mana and 3 life. If you do, put a card from among those into your hand. What a phenomenal self-mill engine from Modern Horizons 3. Very powerful, makes sense. Stitcher Supplier, 1 black. When the creature enters or dies, mill 3 cards. This represents 6 cards in your graveyard for 1 black mana. That's phenomenal. We love it. Skull Prophet, 4 black and green. He can either be a great mana dork, tapping for black and green, or tap him to mill 2 cards. So doing double duty here. We gotta love cards with that modality. And Summon Titan for 3 and 2 green. You get a 7/7 with reach and trample. It is an enchantment creature saga. And his first chapter says mill 5 cards. Second chapter returns all the lands from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And the third chapter, until end of turn, another target creature you control gains trample and gets +X/+X, where X is the number of lands you control. So this guy just does so many things for your game plan. I love it. I love how we have so much to fill up our graveyard. And the game plan is to make a lot of token bodies, either for attacking with them or doing aristocrat shenanigans. So how are we going to make a bunch of tokens and stuff that cares about tokens? Let's look at it. Bogwater Lumerette, 4 black and green. Whenever this creature or another creature you control enters, gain a life. A little life gain package is nice because we have ways to use our life total for value. Brightcap Badger has an adventure that makes 2 saplings for you. He also lets your Fungus and Saprolings tap to add for green mana. And at the beginning of your end step, make a 1/1 Saproling, making bodies, making more mana. Gotta love it. Cryptolith Rite lets all your creatures tap to add 1 mana of any color for 1 and a green. This is a phenomenal card, and I didn't realize how expensive it had gotten. Essence Warden for 1 green. Whenever another creature enters anywhere, you gain a life. This is going to be great on our end. Our opponents are making creatures. Just a little life gain is never a bad thing. Fungal Sprouting for 3 and a green. Sorcery, put X 1/1 green saplings onto the battlefield where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. We can get our commander very tall and then just make that many saplings and make him even bigger. Parallel Lives is just a classic token doubler in green that basically if you would put 1 or more tokens on the battlefield in your control, makes twice that many instead. Prosperous Innkeeper, 1 and a green. When he enters, he gives you a treasure token, which is just a nice bonus. And then whenever another creature enters under your control, you gain a life, more life gain package. Rabbit Attack, I think, was a great addition from Secrets of Strixhaven. Until end of turn, any number of target creatures you control each get +1/+0 in game. When this creature dies, draw a card. So this is great in the event of a big attack. You can make your stuff slightly bigger, and then in the event of a board wipe, you can just draw a bunch of cards. Phenomenal card. Shrufus Sprouchsire is a great little saproling legendary who says when a sapling you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. So if you're swinging with a bunch of saplings, you're going to make even more. Gotta love it. Skullspore Nexus, 6 and 2 green, but it costs X less to cast, where it gets the greatest power among creatures you control, so you can often cast this just for 2 green. And whenever 1 or more non-token creatures you control die, make a green fungus dinosaur creature token with base power and toughness, each equal to the total power of those creatures. And you can pay 2 and tap it to double a target creature's power until end of turn. This thing is just phenomenal, especially for board wipe insurance as well. Slimefoot the Stowaway, 1 black and green, her a legendary creature fungus who says whenever a saproling you control dies, he deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain a life. Got to love that. And then you can pay 4 mana and make a 1/1 green sapling creature token. Doesn't have to tap, so there's some combo potential there. Spore Crown Thalid, just a nice little anthem for your fungus and saprolings. Spore Mound, just a way to landfall and get more saplings. Springlet Parade I thought was a great addition from lore when Eclipse. X green, when it enters, create X11 colorless shapeshifter green creature tokens with changeling. Not green, they're colorless. And they're every creature type. And your creature tokens tap to add a mana of any color. So you could potentially just cast this for green, and now all your creature tokens are mana dorks. Or you make a bunch of shapeshifters that are also Fungus and Saprolings. Tendershoot Dryad for 4 and a green. This creature has Ascend, which deals with the city's blessing, and at the beginning of each upkeep, including opponents, you make a 1/1 green sapling creature token, and your saplings get +2/+2 as long as you have the city's blessing. This is just making so many bodies, and they're usually going to be 3/3s as long as you have the city's blessing. Underseller Mycotyrant actually does a lot better than it reads on paper. When it enters or dies, make a 1/1 sapling creature token, and it's a mana dork. This represents 2 to 3 bodies no matter what. Ashnod's Altar, just a great sack outlet to add colorless, and it's a free sack outlet. This can potentially go infinite with Parallel Lives and Slimefoot, so gotta love that. Banner of Kinship, if our Aristocrats game plan isn't working, we can just switch to big beatdowns, and something like Banner of Kinship is going to enter. You choose usually either Fungus or Saplings. It enters with a Fellowship counter on it for each creature you control the chosen type, and the creatures you control that type get +1/+1 for each counter on the artifact. So the event you have, say 10 Saplings or 10 Fungus, this artifact gets 10 counters on it, and all your stuff gets +10/+10. That is big beatdowns, and you know I love that. Beastmaster Ascension, similar, for 2 and a green. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you put a quest counter on this. If it has 7 or more counters on it, creatures you control get +5/+5. So you attack with 7 Fungus, and all of a sudden, they're not 1/1s, they are 6/6s. Gotta love that. Phyrexian Altar, another classic free sack outlet, adds a mana of any color. Free sack outlets are always good. And Viscera Seer, another free sack outlet, lets you scry 1, and it's only 1 black mana. Mirkwood Bats is also just a phenomenal card in this deck. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses a life. This on its own can win games. It's always going to be a problem for your opponents. I love March of the World Ooze too. For 3 and 3 green, creatures you control have base power toughness 6/6 and are oozes in addition to their other types. A bit of a non-bow with our commander, but the amount of token bodies we're making are now all 6/6s is great. And whenever an opponent casts a spell, if it's not their turn, you make a 3/3 elephant creature token. And finally, Mycoloth. I love this guy. He has Devour 2, so as he enters, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. It enters with twice that many 1/1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, make a 1/1 sapling token for each 1/1 counter on this creature. So say when it enters, you sacrifice, 5 Fungus. It'll enter with 10 counters on it, 1/1 counters. And in each of your upkeeps, you make 10 Saprolings. Oh, it's so good. So big token focused game plan, but we're also filling up that graveyard, and we don't want to just have those cards stay there, do we? We want to get those back. So how are we going to do that? With stuff like Animate Dead, super efficient, 1 in a black. It's an aura, enchants a creature card in a graveyard, any graveyard. It comes in with 1 less power, but just a super efficient way to get a creature back on the battlefield. Also, Exploration Broodship has been doing a lot of work for 1 green mana. It has station, so you tap your creatures and put charge counters on it equal to those creatures' power. And at 3 counters, you can play an additional land on each of your turns. And at 8 counters, it's a 4/4 flyer that says once during each of your turns, you may cast a permanent spell from your graveyard by sacking a land in addition to paying its other cost. So this is both putting lands in our graveyard and letting us get any other permanent we want that's a spell out of the graveyard. Gotta love it. Conduit of Worlds lets you play lands from the graveyard, but also you choose a target non-land permanent, you tap it. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast an additional spells this turn and activate only as a sorcery. So it only lets you cast the 1 spell from your graveyard, but If you don't have much else to do and you need to get something out of your graveyard, this is great. Also got a room, funeral room for 2 and a black. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. That fits into our Aristocrats plan. And Awakening Hall, when you open it for 8 mana, return all creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nice amount of modality, fits with both our game plans. I love it. Head Shredder is one of my favorite cards. It's a vehicle that says when it attacks you may mill 2 cards. That's nice, but what we really love is whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put them on the battlefield tapped. Oh my goodness, in a self-mill strategy, this is going to ramp you so much. Honest Rutstein is great. He enters and you return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and he makes your creature spells cost 1 less to cast. Just great. Little cost reducer and recursion. We also got Living Death. Basically, every player switches all the creature cards on their battlefield for all the creature cards in their graveyard, and we're going to have the most in our graveyard. Regrowth, super efficient. For 1 green, just get any card out of your graveyard to your hand. Gotta love that. And 6. I do love 6. For 2 green, you get a 2/4 with reach. Whenever he attacks, mill 3 cards, and you can put a land card from among them into your hand. But most importantly, as long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace, which means you may cast permanents from your graveyard by discarding a land in addition to paying their other cost. 6 is just phenomenal. And finally, we have Squirming Emergence for 1 black and green, sorcery with Fathomless Descent. It says return to the battlefield a target non-land permanent card in your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. So you can basically get almost anything you want with this card. And finally, I didn't know where to classify these cards, but we just got some extra good stuff that we have in the deck, like Morbid Opportunist, who says whenever 1 or more other creatures die, draw a card. Triggers only once each turn. But the nice part is if you can sack a creature of yours on an opponent's turn, you draw a card. Great card draw. Nature's Rhythm is a great tutor because we have some really key creature pieces that we want to get onto our battlefield, and this is a great way to do it. And we can get anything from our Icetill Explorer to our Tindershoot Dryad and just plop them around the graveyard, and then it has Harmonize, so you can cast it from your graveyard. Next, this is just a pet card of mine. I love Westvale Abbey. It's just a land that taps for colorless. You can pay 5 and tap it and pay a life to make a 1/1 white and black human cleric. But the really cool part, you can pay 5 tap and sacrifice 5 creatures and then transform this land and untap it. And it turns into Ormondal Profane Prince, who is a 9/7 with flying, lifelink, indestructible, and haste. Just a great big flying beater with lifelink that is really hard to get rid of. I just love how the land itself is very unassuming and then turns into this monstrosity. Super fun. We also got Steve. Never can go wrong with a Steve. Great piece of ramp, and he is a permanent going into your graveyard. If you can loop it, you can keep getting value from Steve. I love this little guy. I do think he lives in kind of a perpetual cycle of death and rebirth. Must be some crazy sort of hell to live in. But anyway, also added Susha Secundi. I love this land from Edge of Eternities. Enters taps for black, and you have to station it. Once you get it to 12, you pay 1 in a black, tap, and pay 2 life, and sack a creature, and draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. This is just a great piece of card draw on a land. And finally, Sir Conrad the Grim, one of my favorite mono black cards of all time. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, he does 1 damage to each opponent. And then for 1 in a black, he makes each player mill a card. I just love Sir Conrad. And then once we have all of our critical mass of little token guys and sack outlets, we got our Sir Conrad. That's a potential game winner right there. And that was a lot. And I know that I said that I don't know if this card is more powerful than Taval, but honest truth, I just think it's super fun. I think Mycotyrant is a great Golgari commander. He just does everything that I want to do in a Golgari deck, from making creatures, sacrificing creatures, ramping, life gain, swinging with them. It's just a super fun, well-rounded game plan, and I'm just having so much fun with it, loving it. Artlist.io. And with all of that, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video for today. And with that in mind, I hope you all have a good one.